Commissioner Varga,
Here.
Commissioner Marecki,
Here.
Commissioner Clark Coleman,
Here.
Commissioner Ware,
Present.
Chair Anderson.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Thank you. I just want to call the meeting to order of the Special Committee on the Criminal Justice Complex. And thank you all for being here. I know we just finished the full board meeting and right on another meeting. So we'll try to keep this to an hour or less if we can do that. I know we didn't have a meeting last month. I thought it was quite a time crunch with the budget hearings that we were having. And so we have a little bit, maybe a little bit more to cover today, but we'll try to get it out of the way as quick as possible. Unless another commissioner has a question right off the bat, I'll go ahead to have James and his crew present updates for us.
Oh, we have to approve the minutes first.
Oh, yes.
Move the minutes.
Okay. Do I have a second for that?
Support Marecki.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. And now we'll go to new business.
Thank you very much, commissioners, for your time. I know this is a long day with full board having just concluded, so I'll be mindful of time, and I appreciate your opportunity for us to come and talk about where things stand with the project. I know that you have received
if you would, I don't think if I could just get you to introduce yourself since
forgive me. James Heath, Wayne County Corporation Counsel.
Thank you.
I believe that you all would have received our last submission on update on construction, and I'm going to kind of leave those issues to Jay Shandor, who I believe should be on the line. Jay, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and so I'm going to let Jay talk a little bit about the construction progress, but there are a few items that I wanted to touch on before he does that, Commissioner.
Okay.
I want to apologize on behalf of Victoria Ennis Edwards. She had a training scheduled for today, and so she was not able to make it personally, but I do have a summary of her report that she's going to be sending, but I will go through those highlights in a moment as well. Also, at our last committee hearing, we did provide you with a budget update on the project. We do not have that this time around. M&B, as you can imagine, pretty tied up with getting the budget information together, and so we will have a refreshed financial report for you prior to our next committee meeting, Commissioner Anderson. I just want to let you know that. A few things that I wanted to emphasize. We have been talking really since we began construction following the COVID shutdown about how that pandemic, the governor's order, would affect our overall schedule. About a week ago or so, we did receive a formal notification or draft notification from Bedrock that pushed the project back about 3 months, which would cause it to be completed at the end of 2022. Up until that point, we had been told that we were looking at pretty much a day-for-day delay with respect to the project. So that was about 44 days, I believe, we were shut down. So what we have done through CGL is sent a written request for additional information detailing exactly how they arrived at that delay. We did that last week. Before doing that, we did provide you, Commissioner Anderson, with notification of what they were saying in terms of delay. And so we have yet to get that response. They have acknowledged it. They indicated they are working on it. And so I imagine there's going to be some back and forth once we get that with exactly what we think is reasonable with respect to the delay. It very well may be justified once they provide us with the documentation and further explanation. We just don't have it yet. And so that's our most up-to-date information with respect to that. Do you have any questions about that particular aspect at all?
Just real quick, and so that's three months in addition to what we had expected, as you said, for the day-by-day COVID shutdown, correct?
No. So that would be inclusive. We believe that would be inclusive of the 44 days. So really what we were thinking was about a month and a half delay. They are now saying is a 3-month delay.
Okay.
So, but, as I said, we are still gathering information to see, exactly, why that is and what's caused it. It may have to do with, well, forgive me, I won't even speculate until we get the information from them, but that's what they're saying.
Okay.
One of the things that we have been doing, CGL has been working really tirelessly on this over the last several months, is reviewing the design for the project and looking at the needs of our end users who are going to occupy the complex. And we have been discussing with HOK, ROC, changes that we feel are needed. Now, some of those in the design, some of those changes, I'm using the word change kind of loosely, some of them we think are part of the basis of design or should be included in the design originally. So not acknowledging that that's a change that we're requesting that we'd have to pay extra money for, but just things that we're bringing to the attention of the developer. And then there have been some changes which we acknowledge would be additions that we are working through and deciding whether or not we should accept those or not. Jay can give me the exact number, but at one point we had literally over 800 items, I think, that we needed to discuss with ROC and work through, and we've really kind of whittled those down to a much more manageable number, and that process continues on. So I just want to let you know that that's been taking up a considerable amount of our time as we work through those issues with ROC. As I've said, there have been several changes that we have submitted to the commission per the terms of Commission's Resolution 2020-390. And I want to once again thank your staff for working out this process, and thank the Commission for approving through resolution a process that allows us to be quite nimble in responding to and paying for changes which we are appropriate. There have been 4 that we've submitted so far, Commissioner Anderson. The first was for changes to the kitchen area, modifications that will make that area more efficient. And let
me, if you interrupt just for a quick moment, I apologize, but these are 2020-1, 2020-2, and 2020-3 and 2020-4 you're talking about?
That's correct. That's
okay.
correct.
You can identify which ones are which items.
Sure. So 2020-1 was for $29,034, which was for changes to the kitchen area that would make the area more conducive to how the food is actually going to be served in the ADF. And so we approved those changes and went back and forth quite a bit. And we think that what we've done is provided the most efficient system for food service within the new facility that in some way mirrors what we're already doing, but makes some important improvements. And so those changes were really driven after conversations with Wayne County Sheriff's Office and the folks who are expert at those operations. 2020-2 was for $56,553, and that was for our facilities maintenance building. Those changes allowed for there to be a vapor barrier, which would be required for cooling the facilities maintenance building. Prior to speaking with Daryl Jones, our facilities maintenance people, that building was not designed for air conditioning. And so there were other fans and other things that were contemplated, but after discussing the matter with the folks who were actually going to be working in that facility, we became convinced that we needed to provide a solution. And so in getting an air conditioning unit, and Jay can elaborate on this if he chooses to, but you need to have a vapor barrier, which cuts down on condensation in the building that would compromise the roof and other things. And so that was a change that we felt was appropriate and that we did agree to. 2020-3 was for $97,431. That was for changes throughout the courthouse and in our mail room. We added a number of data drops that would allow for there to be data for workstations throughout the facility, new electrical outlets. There was addition of an electrical door control in the felony non-support area, changes to judges' mail room, storage rooms, designs there, power for security gate. We deleted a security gate on the first floor of the courthouse, which resulted in a credit actually for the project. And so that was a number of changes which we went back and forth with HOK, CGL on that we decided were appropriate. The last one we've submitted is 2020-4, which is for design changes to the cafeteria area in the facility. We are in the process of negotiating with the winning bidder for cafeteria services, and the designs that bidder wanted, we need to have some changes there, and so the $40,000 are for changes to the design of that facility, of that area. And so we feel it's important that obviously that we have cafeteria services that can serve the needs of the employees and visitors to that facility. And so that's what those changes are for. Any questions, Commissioner? And if so, I can ask Jay if he wants to elaborate on any of those things we've discussed.
Go ahead, Jay. If you have.
I'm actually Jay Shandor with CGL, Senior Program Manager. No, actually, James, you hit them all on the nose. The design changes in the cafeteria, are to facilitate the need of the tenant that will be operating that cafeteria. And we started out, it was pretty rough change order there, and we worked through some things with Rock and made a little bit simpler, I guess, a chase way for the pathway for all the ductwork that's needed for the ventilation and the providing the fresh air into that area when you have a cooking grill that's tied to a gas system. The vapor barrier at the FM building, the facility maintenance building, like James said, that wasn't originally intended to be occupied by staff. It was pretty much just an area for their tools and equipment. Putting staff in there, you're going to begin to put AC in that building, and with the humidity levels, you have the apt ability to have condensation in that area if you do not have the vapor barrier on the roof. So that was added. But other than that, James, good job on covering all those.
Okay. One thing, Commissioner Anderson, that we have not had a chance to discuss with you yet, which is hopefully some good news with respect to the project. You're familiar with the Michigan Indigent Defense Commission and the changes we're doing in that regard. And so it does have an impact with respect to the CJC project. Access to attorney-client visits is something that is one of the mainstays of the MIDC. And so in other counties, the MIDC did provide funds to pay for changes in the existing courthouse and jails. We did make some minor changes to our existing facilities, but in light of the fact that we were in the process of building a new facility, we didn't think it made a whole lot of sense to get a whole lot of money for changes in a facility that we were going to be, vacating soon. And so we had discussions with the MIDC about them actually providing funds for some of the visitation rooms and the like in the new facility. And so we identified, working with HOK, about $6.4 million in potential changes that we are petitioning the state to pay for in the new facility. We are going to be making a presentation in front of the MIDC, hopefully in November. We're going to bring CGL, bring additional drawings from our architect, and really make the case that these MIDC funds should be transferred to the county for work that we're doing in the facility. Will we get the whole 6.4? I remain hopeful on that, but when you're dealing with the state, you never can tell. But I do believe we've got a great case to make for a considerable amount of funds coming from the MIDC to help support the CJC project in this regard. And so hopefully by the next time we meet, we will have made that presentation. I am not sure that we'll have an answer just yet for you on that, but it is something that I'd like us to keep on our radar screen and let you know that we are trying to get every bit of funding that we can for this project. And so we'll keep you abreast of that as it goes, and who knows, at some point we may even request the assistance of this committee in securing those funds. So, but we'll keep you up to date on it.
Okay.
I know you continue to ask questions about the parking agreement. That final decision on that has not been made yet, as you know. So much of it is tied up in the county's financial situation, but discussions do continue on that, and I'm hopeful that a final decision will be made over the next couple of months as we continue to grapple with the county's finances, and we'll have more of an update for you as soon as I have more information.
Okay.
As I said, Victoria had a summary of her report.
If I could, before you go to Victoria's report, just wanted to ask a question about the environmental expenses right now, where how much we've expended and how much is estimated yet with things that we know.
I know we sent you a report on that. I don't have specific numbers. Carter, are you on the line here?
He is.
I am, and I can pull that up quickly. Just give me a second.
Carter, identify yourself again, please.
Sure. Carter Fisher, Associate Corporation Counsel.
Thank you. Carter, I'm not sure if that was part of the one sheet that we received, that it might have been because of the software that was using, and when it printed out, it was a little difficult for me to understand exactly what it was.
Sure.
Like a spreadsheet. I don't know if that's a construction timeline type of spreadsheet.
Yeah, that's the schedule.
Okay, that's what I
that you got in front of you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a brief one-pager environmental report from ROC that they put together as a PDF, and I believe I sent it last week, but I can certainly send it again. But I'll just give you a sort of high-level rundown.
Okay.
So far, they're projecting a total of just under $3 million in terms of environmental costs, and that's both environmental costs that they've already billed to the project and projected budgeted environmental costs.
What's
For
the
the
number? You said the number again is,
It's just under $3 million, $294,284.
okay.
Per the contract, they're obligated to contribute the first $500,000 of that all on their own, and then beyond that, up to $10 million in environmental costs are split 50-50 between the county and Bedrock. So our current portion of both budgeted and unbudgeted, billed and budgeted environmental costs is about $1.25 million right now. So they're still projecting between now and the end of the project that they will spend. They've already spent $2.5 million. They're projecting that they'll spend another approximately $500,000 for the offsite parking lots and for some filtration of water that's still currently falling on the site, and a little bit more soil disposal on the site.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
James, go ahead, carry on. Oh, you know what? I think I do have, let me double check. There's an item in something I received from you, unbudgeted environmental costs. Could you give us an explanation of what does that include those parking lots?
That does, yes. So they phrase that rather confusingly, and we tried to make it clear. If you look at the line item below, what our actual contribution is projected to be, unbudgeted environmental costs is a term that they took from the overall development agreement.
Mhm.
And so the development agreement had $500,000 budgeted, and then anything above that total was quote unquote unbudgeted environmental costs. So that's where that $2.5 million that they're talking about comes from. And that includes, again, both the money that they've already spent to date and the money that they've budgeted for the rest of the project or projected out for the rest of the project. And that $2.494,000 is what we will split with them 50-50.
Okay, good. All right, thank you.
Just briefly, the Human Relations Business Inclusion Division's report, third quarter compliance for Wayne County participant hours were over 40%. 40% is lower than the 51% goal, but you can see an upward trend from last quarter's 34%. Again, residency participation should rise with additional trades coming onto the project over the next few weeks, and we would think that those numbers would continue to increase. Third quarter contract compliance spend summary. The project is 52% county-based certified, representing a spend of over $66 million. Minority businesses are at 6%, representing a $7.2 million spend. And Wayne County businesses are at 5%. That's a 5.7, almost 5.8 for the third quarter. Again, as the project moves into additional trades and phases, there'll be additional spending opportunities for CBEs, minority and women-owned businesses. One thing that Victoria wanted me to note was a Barton Malow. They kicked off their second boot camp with 15 participants working on the CJC project. Barton Malow has campers in the trades of concrete, interiors, iron worker, Motor City workers. Motor City has workers doing electrical and Limbach with mechanical and pipe fitters. The boot camp participants are part of a 120-hour program for on-the-job training experiences in the trades, increasing diversity, building relationships within the community on projects. A success to be proud of, the Motor City Electric has just hired 4 of their boot camp participants into the company. That's an example of how the training opportunities provide pathways to success throughout the community. Victoria will be at our next committee meeting, and she can give you even a larger update on our efforts in that regard, but she did want me to highlight those particular things, Commissioner. With that, Jay, can you kind of give a little bit of an update on kind of where we are from a construction perspective here?
Yeah, I'll give you a little short overview. The adult facility, we're about 29% complete. Currently, they're placing the prefabricated off-site steel cells at floors 3 through 5. And that's going rather well and pretty quickly. As you could probably see, there's a crane outside lifting those from the exterior, and they roll them into place and secure them. So that's going quick. They come already outfitted with the toilets, the bunks, and they're all pre-painted with the epoxy paint. And it's pretty much a kind of a plug and play type of cell.
Hey, I wanted to ask you real quick, those cells, are they coming in as they're able to install them, or did you say they're stored somewhere offsite?
There's a offsite laydown yard about 2 blocks away, and they've all arrived. So they're shipping them from there, and they put them on a truck and bring them to the back side of the site adjacent to the highway, lift them right off the truck and right into the building.
Is that storage costing us anything or not?
Behind the scenes, it's probably costing us by Barton Mallow, but nothing
Okay.
that we see up front.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No problem. The juvenile detention facility is about 14%. They are beginning the erection of the exterior panels, and that'll go all the way through probably the 4th week of November. The sheriff's office and the prosecutor is 21% complete, and they're beginning the framing of walls and floors at the 2nd and 3rd level. And they're beginning the installation of the above ceiling piping and ductwork. The courts were about 34%. They're preparing to install the exterior curtain wall, which is the glazing on the east side of the building. The precast concrete exterior walls have all been placed on the west side, the north side, and the south side. All the CMU walls are completed at the stairs and the elevators, and the framing of the walls is still ongoing between floors 1 through 6, progressing from the bottom level upwards towards the roof. So ductwork is still ongoing on the 4th, 5th, and 6th levels. The FM building, which is our maintenance building, hasn't been much work done there. They're only about 16%. It's not a critical path item. And then finally at the central utility plant, which we call our CUP, is 46% complete. And they've installed the chillers on the roof. They've completed the installation of the emergency backup generators. Currently, they have just completed the installation of the fuel tanks for those generators, and they are completing the concrete pads within the building to set the actual chillers. The chiller on the roof is complete, but they have to set the units inside the building. That's where your chillers and your for your chill water for your air conditioning will be pumped through.
So Jay, are you talking about you mentioned about the backup power supply? Is that going to be like a natural gas type of system?
No, those are diesel operated.
Okay.
They're huge diesel operated engines, but those are on the roof of the building and strictly for emergency power backup.
Okay. All right.
Around the site, not much site work going on. There's just too many things in the way as far as cranes and moving equipment around. So that will not start probably until around the spring. But they're trying to get the buildings enclosed, you know, for the weather, get the roofs on for the weather upcoming, and but it's moving quickly. Any questions about the site activities?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask too, what you just touched on about the estimated timeline that they're going to have the building buttoned up, for lack of a better term, you know, for winter work to continue.
Pretty much they'll have it wrapped up by the end of November. Now that doesn't include all the windows, all the caulking.
Right.
They're still going to have some. It's not going to be totally weatherproof, but getting the roof on is important, and they are working on the ADF on the sides of the building, putting in all the caulking between the precast concrete panels. And as soon as they get the east curtain wall up on the court, that'll be, you know, about 80% weatherproof.
Okay.
So they'll still be working, you know, around the conditions of the weather, but not like in the past. And everything is being protected, covered up and protected and wrapped, you know, in case there is any type of water intrusion.
Very good. James, I was going to ask you if are we paying for any storage of materials that are offsite? Or I should say also that the ones that are from the old jail project.
No. In fact, at our last full board, commission approved contract. It was actually a retro contract for International Precast, which was to finish paying for rent that we had on materials that from the old jail. And so everything has been disposed of, destroyed. So we are in the clear and no longer paying for any of those materials, Commissioner.
Good. Yeah, I know we approved that expenditure today, and just wanted to make sure that was it, the end of it. And also I wanted to recognize Mark Abbo, just to ask Mark if there's any questions that he might have about what we've received so far about the budget. I know we don't have an updated one for this meeting, but did you have anything, Mark, you wanted to add or questions?
Yeah, Commissioner, actually just a couple of things. One is a request from James. James, I know that you were going to be talking to Rock about the delay, the 3-month delay. Is there any way to quantify the cost of what that delay may be? You know, from my perspective, and I know that, well, at one time we were saying that once we build a new jail, we may get $10 to $15 million worth of efficiency savings. And I know that this is opportunity cost, but delaying it delays that opportunity benefit to us. But I was wondering if we could quantify any additional hard costs. For instance, you know, we're going to have to lease the Frank Murphy Hall of Justice for an additional 3 months. We're going to have to, you know, rent other facilities for an additional period of time. Is there any way to quantify what that cost may be?
We can take a look at that. No, I think that's a fair enough question. We'll take a look at that, and when we come back to you with information about what the actual delay is going to be, we'll try to have an answer for you on that, Mark. It might even make sense for us to our teams to get together outside of the committee and talk about that a little bit. So,
and then the other thing is I was looking at the budget, and from my perspective, the best way to evaluate where you stand in regards to a budget is to evaluate the budgeted costs against contracts that have been issued. And I don't know if that's really being done. I mean, I'm looking at like the general project expenditures. We've already spent 40%, and I see only a budget adjustment of a negative $850,000. So I don't know if we really compare. It looks like we're just taking the original budget, subtracting approved invoices and saying, here's our balance to complete. But if we evaluate it based on expected contract costs versus actual contracts that have been let and approved, to try and come up with what the total cost will be. Now, I know that to a large extent, maybe some of that may not be as important because we're kind of held harmless on a lot of costs associated with the building. They become ROC's responsibility. But for some of those costs that are not ROC's responsibility, it would be interesting to see that. You know, things like allowances. We did address the environmental, and then any regulatory or permitting issues that would be the county's responsibility. Would be interesting to see if anything's been done in relation to what the original budget was. And again, comparing it to what we expected the cost to be versus contracts that have actually been let.
Yeah, so, you know, what we can do, I mean, you know, in terms of that, we have most information about our environmental, and still that's kind of a fluid situation. But what we can do, Mark, is have a sit down with M&B and your shop, and we can try to make sure we're speaking the same language in terms of how those costs are, and that we're reporting them in a way that makes sense.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you, James.
Yeah. Is that all, Mark?
Yeah, that's it, Commissioner. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. And after Mark can dumb the numbers down to me, he and I'll meet.
One Commissioner Anderson, I did want to say one thing. I know we talked about site visits in the past, and I think we are probably at a good point now where if commissioners or members of this committee would like to do a site visit, we should probably look at it. There's enough there to see now, but the conditions are not yet so bad so that you'll be walking in however many inches of snow out on the site. And so I'll leave it to you to how you'd like to organize it. I don't know if you'd like, you know, commissioners to contact you and then you let us know how many people are interested. Or I'm happy to take or we can reach out directly to commissioners from our office. It's however you'd like to handle it.
Okay.
And then we'll get some dates together with CGL and make sure that all the safety training and everything that needs to happen in order for people to come onto the site occurs. We can get that going over the next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Okay, I'll check. Engage.
If I could,
Oh, go ahead.
If I could make another point.
Sure.
Some of the delay, James, is as a result of COVID, and to the extent that we can quantify it and apply it to the CARES money, and I don't know if we need to apply it, and I know that it has to be incurred before December 31st, but effectively, in my opinion, it has been incurred. The delay has been incurred, and if we can quantify it, we need to utilize that delay to apply to any of the CARES money, the $207 million that we received. If we've still got room, we might want to try and do that.
So I'll say two things. I will leave it to our CFO to let us know exactly how much we have left with respect to that. But the second point is I like the way you think, Mark, and I'll take you along as we communicate with the auditors on the CARES funds about that. You know, in looking at, you know, some of the changes that we're making in the facility to help with COVID, one of the things that the auditors and our attorneys were very adamant about is that we really couldn't use CARES funds for any construction that was not going to take place before the end of this calendar year. And so, you know, I tend to take a relatively expansive view of how we use those funds because I agree with you in principle there. And so it's something we'll continue to take a look at. So
I guess I would say that if we do have room at the end of the day, rather than sending back to the feds, let's just throw it into the pot.
Yeah.
Good idea. James, do you have anything else that you want to
No, not at this point, Commissioner.
Okay. I'll open it up to members of the committee that might want to ask a question or have of one of you. Anyone?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I think it would be fitting if Ways and Means probably took this up at the end of perhaps November or middle of November to make sure that everyone is, besides your committee on the budget side, everyone is aware, and make sure that the COVID dollars are all used, and maybe we could discuss this a little bit further. I'll leave it up to Mark Abbo as to how to handle that side of it and place it on our agenda.
Okay, all right. Yeah, any areas that it seems beneficial to update all the members of Ways and Means, by all means. I don't have a disagreement with that.
Well, you're on it, so
Yeah,
we'll get additional information.
good.
Thank you.
Commissioner, any other commissioners, members of the committee first? There's not any other commissioners, period. I'd like to
Yes,
ask-
this is Commissioner Baker McCormick.
Yes,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question on the boot camp. I don't know if Mr. Heath knows when the next one will be, if you have that information.
I do not, Commissioner. I've exhausted my information on the boot camp, but I will have Victoria reach out to you directly to let you know about that.
Great, thank you.
thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Ware, did you have anything you wanted to?
Nope, no, sir. Thank you.
Okay, and I'm trying to see who else is Commissioner Clark Coleman. I know you're still online. I just didn't know if you had any questions or comments.
No, I don't really have any.
Okay, and I believe Commissioner Marecki left us earlier. She indicated earlier before the meeting ever started that she had a commitment she had to continue with, and it would only be with us about for a short time at the beginning of the meeting. So she's probably no longer with us here on the meeting. Any other members of the commission or members of the committee that's not spoke or has additional questions? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, what's the next item? And thank you, James and Carter.
Thank you.
And Jay for being here today and giving us the update.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
E, such other matters as may be properly submitted before the committee.
Do we have anything that's been submitted? I'm not aware of any. Madam Clerk, we didn't have any submitted.
No.
Okay. Next item on the agenda.
Public comments?
Did we receive any emails from the public wishing to speak or submit a comment or question?
No, we have not received any emails.
Okay, would you like to open it up and see if there's anyone online? I do see some, looks like most of the names I recognize anyway, but you could open it up if you would, and we'll see if there's any questions from anybody that's viewing this.
Everyone's unmuted.
Is there anyone that's joining us that has a question or a comment in the public comment portion of the meeting? Anyone from the public wishing to make comments or have a question? One last time, any comments, public comments? Seeing none, we'll move to the agenda, the next item.
Adjournment.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Over during that.
Support.
All right, it's been moved and supported. Moved by Commissioner Clark Coleman and supported by Commissioner Varga. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Good meeting, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.